All right, so we are talking about sugar and why it is bad for you, really. I mean, yes, it tastes good, and I definitely have very much a sweet tooth. I love my sweets, but I've learned to have them in moderation and follow, guidelines to where it doesn't hinder my health like too much can. So I'm going to just kind of go over a little bit about how to identify sugar. I'm not just talking about the granulated sugar that you might have on your table or your counter or something like that. Yes, that counts. And that is added to a lot of baking type things. Um, but it's more than that as well. So first of all, sugar is naturally found in a lot of foods, mainly your carbs, your fruits, vegetables, grains, and even dairy. But these are okay. And I had somebody ask me about that once. It's like, well, you hear to eat a lot of fruit, and isn't fruit really high in sugar? Well, some fruit is higher in sugar than others. Berries are going to be really your best bet if you're trying to cut down on the sugars. They're not near as high and they process easier. So if you want something sweet, berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, like that. You can add those to about anything and make things sweet just with that. Um, but yes, fruit is okay. Fruit is fine because it has a lot of fiber and minerals. It's very high in fiber and it's a natural sugar. It's not the added sugar that we're talking about. And dairy has your protein and calcium. And so by eating a bunch of those, you can actually reduce risk of chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, cancer. There's a bunch of them. So yes, fruits and veggies. Of course, you hear that all the time. That to eat those is really best. That's what you really want to do. So where the problem comes in is with added sugar. And the reason sugar is added to different foods, one, to enhance the flavor, and that's why it's so addictive, because we like things that taste that good. And for those of us with a sweet tooth, then you eat a little bit and you want more, and then you want more. And so it becomes that vicious cycle. But they also add it to extend the shelf life. And so, you go back 100 years and where we didn't have all these boxed foods, packaged foods, that type of thing, then there wasn't near the sugar in the different foods that there is now, because it's meant to extend that shelf life so that they can sell more. So, especially products, and I'm sure you guys all know a lot of these. Number one is going to be like soda, your soft drinks. They are very, very high in sugar. And, I know people that, my husband being one of them, that just totally cut out soda and was able to get rid of weight just by cutting out the sugar. And so soda is super high, fruit drinks and your juices, especially like the concentrate. There again, it's added to enhance the flavor and preserve it. So your concentrates have a lot of added sugar. So watch that. Flavored yogurt. You hear, oh, yogurt's healthy. Eat yogurt. Well, no, you have to really be careful. And you hear me say it all the time. And yes, it can be kind of a pain to have to read labels all the time. But if you start reading them initially and start learning what's in different foods and how to read those labels, then after a while, you really don't have to read them. You just kind of know. But it is an educational time to be able to do what's best for your body. But flavored yogurts always have added sugar. So you're going to want a plain yogurt. Plain Greek yogurt is one of the best. It's very high in protein, which is awesome, but it's very, very low in sugars. And if you want some sweet added to it, like I said, add some berries to it. Um, in fact, a lot of times I do that. I will add, in fact, I did that with my lunch today. I had Greek yogurt and some berries and threw in a little bit of sugar-free granola and oats. And so it's kind of a nice little dessert and treat, kind of curbs that sweet tooth that I have. And then, of course, all sorts of candy loaded with sugar, cakes, cookies. Like I said, you add sugar when you're baking, cereal. And, most cereal is marketed towards kids. So they're catching us when we're young. And so they have all this added sugar to cereal to start the day. So they're starting off on the wrong foot. And then, of course, a lot of just processed foods have added sugar as well. Some that kind of surprise people when I, talk about these, that we don't think about sugar being added, but ketchup. Ketchup has quite a bit of sugar in it as well. Breads, your processed breads that you just can, buy at the store, your cured meats, even peanut butter. So yeah, peanut butter can be healthy for you, but you got to watch it, and because it can be loaded with sugar too. And there are other peanut butters and nut butters. I'm a big fan of nut butters as well, in place of peanut butter. And then a lot of your sauces are loaded with added sugar. So read your labels. So what are some of the effects that sugar has, and why is it so bad for us? So first of all, one of the big ones is inflammation. So do you feel bloated and like your stomach is extended and tight? Do you get inflammation in your hands and your joints? That could be related to sugar. So if you cut back on your sugar, then, and I'm not saying totally eliminate it. I mean, some people might have to, but reduce it. And I'm going to get into that as far as what the guidelines are on that here in a little bit. But inflammation is a huge one, an effect of sugar. It can increase your blood pressure. Of course, it can cause weight gain, which a lot of people do. We also see diabetes, fatty liver disease, different cancers. It can even cause depression and memory loss and memory lapses. Can lead to dementia. It doesn't necessarily cause it, but it enhances it. It speeds up the aging of your skin as well. It increases your cellular aging. So from the inside out. So even all your cells inside your skin, all of that ages faster when you have too much sugar. And I know this sounds backwards, but it decreases your energy. And if you're one that does eat a lot of sugar, then it might give you that burst of energy real quick, but then all of a sudden you crash. And the crash is lower than where you were before you actually ate the sugar. So it can actually work in the opposite way. And believe it or not, it can cause gout. And that was a new one that I did not know, but kind of interesting because I know a lot of people that do have that. So reduce your sugar. I just want to read something. It was actually in a Harvard Health article. It was about a study that was published in the JAMA Internal Medicine journal. And it was by Dr. Hugh. I want to give credit where credit is due. So he and his colleagues found an association between a high sugar diet and greater risks of dying from heart disease. So over the course of the 15-year study, so this wasn't just a fly by night type study, they did it for 15 years. People who got 17 to 21% of their calories from added sugar had a 38% higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared with those who consumed 8% of their calories as added sugar. So basically, the correlation there, the higher the intake of the added sugar, the higher the risk of heart disease. So that alone, just that one, we could be done right here. Just that one reason is reason enough to reduce your sugar, added sugar intake. And be careful of liquid calories, because like I said, your sodas, the juices, that type of thing. And a lot of times I see people give their kids juice, fruit juice, because they think, well, it's fruit, so it's healthier for them. But boy, if you compare some of those fruit juices, especially the ready to drink, not the concentrated, but even just the ready to drink, those are they're practically all sugar. There's not much fruit juice in them. So opt for something else. You can actually make like a fruit juice and infuse fruit into water. Just put some fruit in your water and it gets that flavor of the fruit, but it's a lot healthier for your kiddos and you as well. And so those liquid calories end up being a whole lot more than what people actually perceive or realize. And they don't think about what they're drinking. They think about what they're eating as being those calories, but those liquid calories can really add up. So again, read those labels. And when you see the ingredients, that's another indicator. So they won't always say just sugar. So some of the other things that are in there are your corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, basically anything with ose at the end. Don't eat that. Your corn sweetener, all of those types of things are added sugar. So look for those as well. And watch your serving size. So if the label, there again, on the labels, it might say a serving size is 5 grams. And so that's, what all those nutrition facts are based on, is that serving. But when you really look at that, what is a normal serving? A normal serving on a lot of things might actually be 3 to 4 servings. So if you have 5 grams, but a normal serving size is actually 4 servings, you're actually having 20 grams. So really watch that as well. And not all foods are like that. Some foods are spot on. If they tell you this is a serving size, that's what a normal person would eat. But watch those foods, and especially those that are processed. They tend to always put a lower amount for a serving size. So be very cognizant of that. And I always like to recommend that people track what they're eating, because for one, you don't always really know exactly how much you're eating. And then like this with the sugar, you don't really know how much sugar is in each of these foods. I don't get paid by MyFitnessPal, but it's one that I use. I use it with my clients as well. It is a great tool to be able to track, and you can actually just search different foods in there, and they have this huge library. So you can put in brand name, or, if it's a generic store brand type name, you can even put those in and it will pull those up. And it gives you the serving size. Compare what it is in MyFitnessPal with what's on the label, just to make sure, that things are lining up. But most of the time they line up spot on. And then it gives you the breakdown of all the nutrients. And so it lists sugar in there. And so that's a really good way to be able to track how much sugar you are getting in your daily diet. So I told you I would kind of give you the guidelines for this. So for men, the guideline is to have no more than 36 grams of sugar. And that's not actually very much. I mean, if you actually laid it out, then yes, it looks like a lot. It's basically 9 teaspoons of sugar. So if you were to take table sugar and line up 9 teaspoons, that's the limit for men. But like I said, sugar is added everywhere, so you got to watch it. So 36 grams for men, 25 grams for women, which is like 6 teaspoons. So that's something to kind of give you a guideline to be able to follow. If you do have any questions about any of this, need some help with your nutrition and tracking that and macros, or need help with any kind of with your fitness workouts, then I will have the link down below this video, and you can always contact me, and I would love to help you live a healthier life. So thanks for joining me. I hope this was helpful for you.